The space station Harmony's edge floated quietly in the darkness between stars. It was not a big station, but it was home to many different beings from across the galaxy. Some were human, some were not. All of them worked together to study the mysteries of space. In the small quarters on level 3, a 12-year-old boy named Jeho sat by the window. He watched the stars move slowly past as the station turned. The boy had been living here for 2 years now, but he had never spoken a single word. Not to anyone. Dr. Hana Kim walked into the room carrying a tray of food. She was a kind woman, with gentle eyes, who had taken care of Jeho since he arrived. She set the tray down on the small table and sat across from him. "Good morning, Jeho," she said softly. "I brought your favorite breakfast today." The boy looked at her and nodded. His dark eyes were always watching, always thinking. But his lips stayed closed. Dr. Kim had tried everything to get him to speak. She had brought him books, games, even other children to play with. Nothing worked. Around Jeho's neck hung a strange pendant. It was made of some kind of crystal that seemed to glow with its own light. Sometimes the glow was very dim, almost invisible. Other times it would pulse brighter, like a heartbeat made of light. The pendant had been with him when they found him floating in space 2 years ago. Dr. Kim remembered that day clearly. A rescue ship had picked up a distress signal from a small escape pod. Inside, they found Jeho unconscious and alone. The pod's computers were damaged, but they could tell it had come from a human colony called Haven's Rest. When they tried to contact the colony, they found only empty space. Something terrible had happened there, but nobody knew what. The boy had no family left. No friends, no one who could tell them his story. The only clue to his past was the glowing pendant he would not let anyone touch. "The morning briefing starts in an hour," Dr. Kim said, finishing her coffee. "Would you like to come with me today?" Jeho nodded again. He always came to the briefings. He would sit in the back corner and watch everyone talk about their work. The other crew members had gotten used to his silent presence. They walked through the station's corridors together. The walls were lined with windows that showed the endless stars outside. Other crew members passed by, greeting Dr. Kim and smiling at Jeho. He would nod politely but never speak. Commander Taemin Park stood at the front of the briefing room. He was a tall man with graying hair and kind eyes. He had been the station commander for 5 years and treated everyone like family. "Good morning, everyone," Commander Park said as the crew gathered. "We have some interesting news today." Dr. Yoonji, the station's lead scientist, stood up. She was young and excited about her work. "We received a distress signal from the outer rim. It's coming from Sector 779. That's unexplored space," said Engineer So Young. She was practical and smart, always solving problems that others couldn't. "What kind of signal?" "That's the strange part," Dr. Yoonji continued. "It's not from any known ship or station. The signal is different, very old, like nothing we've seen before." Security Chief Hyuk frowned. He was a serious man who worried about everyone's safety. "Could it be a trap?" "I don't think so, Doctor." Yoonji replied, "The signal is weak and getting weaker. Whatever is sending it won't last much longer." Commander Park looked around the room. "We're the closest ship to that sector. If something needs help, we should investigate." In the back corner, Jeho listened to every word. His pendant began to pulse a little brighter, but nobody noticed. Except Dr. Kim. She had learned to watch for these small changes in the boy's behavior. "How long to reach the source?" Commander Park asked. 6 hours at full speed," replied the navigation officer. "Then we go," the commander decided. "Prepare the ship for departure. Dr. Yoonji, I want you monitoring that signal constantly. If it changes, I want to know immediately." The crew began to leave, talking excitedly about the mysterious signal. Jeho stood up to follow Dr. Kim, but something made him stop. He walked to the briefing room's large window and looked out at the stars far away. In the direction of Sector 779, he thought he saw something. A flicker of movement in the darkness. His pendant pulsed brighter. "Jeho?" Dr. Kim called. "Are you coming?" The boy turned away from the window and nodded. But as they walked back to their quarters, he kept looking over his shoulder. Something was calling to him from the deep of space. Something that made his pendant warm against his chest. The station's engines hummed to life, and they began their journey toward the mysterious signal. In the engineering section, So-young watched her instruments carefully. The ship's systems were running perfectly, but she noticed something odd. There were small energy fluctuations throughout the station. Nothing dangerous, but strange. "Computer, run a diagnostic on all systems," she ordered. "Diagnostic complete," the computer replied. All systems operating within normal parameters, but So-young wasn't satisfied. The fluctuations were still there, very small but constant. Like a heartbeat. 6 hours later, they reached Sector 779. What they found there changed everything. Floating in the emptiness of space was a creature unlike anything they had ever seen. It was huge, bigger than their entire station. Its body was long and serpentine, covered in scales that shimmered with their own light. Great wings that seemed to be made of pure energy stretched out from its sides. It looked exactly like the dragons from old Earth legends. But this one lived in the vacuum of space itself. "By all the stars," whispered Dr. Yoonji. "What is that thing?" The creature was clearly dying. Its scales were dim and its energy signatures were fading. But even in its weakened state, it was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "It's magnificent," Commander Park said quietly in his quarters. Jae-ho suddenly sat up straight. His pendant blazed with light, brighter than it had ever been before. He felt something calling to him from across the void. Something ancient and wise and sad. He stood up and walked to his window. The dragon was too far away to see clearly. But somehow he knew it was looking back at him. Deep in his mind, he heard a voice speak his name. The crew of Harmony's Edge stared at the massive creature floating in space. Nobody spoke for a long moment. The dragon was so huge that it made their station look like a small toy in comparison. "Commander." Taemin Park was the first to break the silence. "Dr. Yoonji, are you getting any readings from that thing?" Dr. Yoonji looked at her instruments with wide eyes. "It's alive, Commander. Barely, but it's alive. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. This creature is very old, maybe thousands of years old. Is it dangerous?" asked Security Chief Yuck. His hand moved closer to the weapon controls. "I don't think so," Dr. Yoonji replied. "It's too weak to be a threat. Whatever it is, it's dying." Engineer So-young studied her screens. "The energy fluctuations I detected earlier are getting stronger. They seem to be coming from the direction of that creature. Should we move closer?" asked the navigation officer. Commander Park thought carefully. "Not yet. We need to understand what we're dealing with first. Begin long-range scans. I want to know everything about this creature." While the crew worked on the bridge, Jae-ho stood in his quarters staring out the window. His pendant was glowing so brightly now that it lit up the entire room. The light pulsed in a steady rhythm like a heartbeat. Dr. Hana Kim found him there. An hour later. "Jae-ho, what are you doing? You missed lunch." The boy didn't turn around. He kept staring at the distant dragon. His pendant grew even brighter. "Jae-ho?" Dr. Kim stepped closer. She had never seen the pendant glow this bright before. "Are you feeling all right?" Suddenly, the boy began walking toward the door. Dr. Kim followed him, worried. "Where are you going?" Jae-ho walked through the station's corridors like he knew exactly where he was going. Other crew members stopped to stare as he passed. The pendant around his neck was now blazing with light so bright it hurt to look at. "Someone should tell the commander," whispered one of the technicians. Jae-ho walked all the way to the station's observation deck. This was the closest point to the dragon, separated only by the transparent aluminum windows and the vacuum of space. He pressed his hands against the glass and stared out at the creature. The dragon was still far away, but something impossible happened. The creature's enormous eyes opened and looked directly at him. They were ancient eyes, filled with wisdom and sadness. Dr. Kim reached the observation deck just as this happened. "Jae-ho, we need to go back to our quarters. The commander will want to know about your pendant," but the boy didn't move. He stood perfectly still, staring at the dragon. And then, across the emptiness of space, something spoke to him. "Jeho!" The voice came from nowhere and everywhere at once. It was deep and old, like the sound of stars being born. It spoke in a language that no human had ever heard, but somehow Jeho understood every word. Child of two worlds. Bearer of the last song, I have been waiting for you. For the first time in his life, Jeho opened his mouth and spoke. I hear you. His voice was different from what anyone expected. It carried strange harmonics that made the station's hull vibrate. Every piece of equipment on the observation deck began to hum and glow. The lights flickered in rhythm with his words. Dr. Kim stepped back in shock. Jeho, you spoke? You actually spoke? The boy turned to look at her, and she saw that his eyes were now glowing with the same light as his pendant. The dragon is calling me, Dr. Kim. He has been waiting for me to find him. Dragon? Dr. Kim activated her communicator. Commander Park, please come to the observation deck immediately. Jeho is speaking and something strange is happening. Within minutes, the entire senior staff had gathered on the observation deck. They stared in amazement at the boy who had never spoken a word in 2 years. What did you say your name was? Commander Park asked gently. I am Jeho, the boy replied. His voice still carried those strange harmonics. But I am also something more. The dragon knows what I am. Engineer So Young was studying her portable scanner. Commander, Jeho's voice is somehow interfacing with our systems. Every time he speaks, the station's equipment responds. It's like he's talking to the ship itself. That's impossible, said Dr. Yunji. Humans can't interface with technology like that. Jeho looked at her with his glowing eyes. I am not entirely human, Dr. Yunji. The dragon will explain everything. He turned back to the window and spoke to the creature across the void. What do you want me to know? The dragon's voice filled his mind again. I am Vorthek the Eternal. I am the last of my kind, the last of the architects. And you, child, are the bridge between what was and what will be, the architects. And Jeho repeated aloud so the others could hear. Yes, Vorthek continued. Long ago, my people seeded the galaxy with life and technology. We built the foundation for countless civilizations, but we were destroyed by something terrible, something that devours entire worlds. Commander Park stepped forward. Jeho, are you really talking to that creature? Yes, Commander. His name is Vorthek. He says he's been waiting for me. Why? Asked Dr. Kim. Jeho listened to the dragon's ancient voice. Because I carry something that belonged to his people. This pendant around my neck, it's called a resonance key. The pendant pulsed brighter as he spoke about it. There are 7 keys in total, Jeho continued, translating the dragon's words. They were scattered across the galaxy to keep them safe, but now they're needed again. The thing that destroyed the architects is coming back. What thing? Asked Security Chief Yuck. Vorthek calls it the void hunger. It consumes everything in its path. Stars, planets, entire civilizations. It has awakened again and is moving toward the center of the galaxy. Dr. Yunji checked her instruments. I'm detecting massive energy disturbances in the outer rim. Entire star systems are going dark. The dragon's voice grew weaker in Jeho's mind. I am dying, child. But before I go, I must give you my knowledge. You must find the other 6 keys and unite them. Only then can the Eternal Forge be activated. What's the Eternal Forge? Jeho asked. The only weapon that can stop the void hunger. But it requires all 7 keys to function. And it requires someone like you to operate it? Someone like me? A bridge between human and architect, a child of 2 worlds. Jeho felt sadness from the dragon. Vorthek was very old and very tired. He had been waiting alone in space for centuries, hoping that someone would find him before it was too late. I understand, Jeho said. What do I need to do? The dragon began to share his memories with the boy. Images flooded Jeho's mind, ancient civilizations, beautiful worlds, and terrible destruction. He saw the architects at their height, building wonders across the galaxy. He saw the coming of the void hunger, a darkness that swallowed everything, and he saw 7 keys, scattered to the far corners of space, waiting to be found. The knowledge is yours now, Vorthek said. But remember, child, the Eternal Forge is not just a weapon, it is a choice. How you use it will determine the fate of all life in the galaxy. The dragon's light began to fade. I go now to join my people in the eternal rest. But my essence will remain with you, in the key you carry. Jeho felt tears on his cheeks. Thank you, Vorthak. I won't let you down. The great dragon's eyes closed for the last time. His massive form began to dissolve into particles of light that drifted away into space. But somehow Jeho knew that. Part of him would always be there, stored in the pendant around his neck. The crew of Harmony's Edge watched in silence as the ancient creature faded away. They had witnessed something that would change the galaxy forever. After Vorthek disappeared into the darkness of space, the crew of Harmony's Edge stood in stunned silence. Jeho remained at the window, his pendant still glowing but not as brightly as before. The boy looked exhausted, as if the conversation with the dragon had drained all his energy. Dr. Hana Kim was the first to move. She put her hand on Jeho's shoulder. Are you all right? The boy nodded slowly. I'm tired, but I'm okay. Vorthek gave me a lot of information. It's still settling in my mind. Commander Taemin Park stepped forward. Jeho, I need you to tell us everything. If what you say is true, we're facing something that could destroy the entire galaxy. It is true, Commander, Jeho replied. The void hunger is real. It's already started consuming star systems on the outer rim. Soon it will reach the populated worlds. Engineer So Young was studying her scanners. He's right, Commander. I'm detecting massive energy disturbances throughout the outer sectors. It's like entire solar systems are just disappearing. Dr. Yunji looked at her own instruments. The rate of disappearance is increasing. Whatever this void hunger is, it's getting stronger. Tell us about these resonance keys, Commander Park said to Jeho. You said there are 7 of them. Jeho touched his pendant. This is one of them. The other 6 are hidden throughout the galaxy. Vorthek showed me where they are, but getting to them won't be easy. Why not? Asked Security Chief Hyuk. Because they're protected by different alien civilizations. The architects gave them to various species for safekeeping millions of years ago. Most of these civilizations don't even know what they're guarding. The boy closed his eyes and concentrated. The memories that Vorthak had shared with him were still fresh and confusing. One key is with the Shard Singers in the Crystal Nebula. Another is deep underwater on the planet Aquatica, protected by the Depth Keepers. I know about the Shard Singers, Dr. Yunji said. They're a peaceful species, but they don't trust outsiders. They communicate through musical vibrations. The 3rd key is in the war zones of the Talon Federation, Jeho continued. They think the architects were destroyers, not builders. They will not give up the key easily, Commander Park frowned. The Talon Federation has been fighting wars for centuries. They don't negotiate with anyone. What about the other keys? Asked Dr. Kim. Jeho opened his eyes. One is hidden in the ruins of an ancient city on the desert planet Zarian. Another is in the ice caves of Frost Moon, guarded by energy beings called the Luminous Ones. And the 7th key? Engineer So Young asked. That one is the most dangerous, Jeho said quietly. It's in the heart of a dying star, protected by mechanical guardians that have been waiting for millions of years. The crew exchanged worried glances. The task ahead seemed impossible. Even if we could get all 7 keys, Dr. Yunji said. What exactly is this eternal forge you mentioned? Jeho walked to the center of the observation deck. As he spoke, his pendant began to glow again, and holographic images appeared in the air around him. The crew gasped as they saw ancient worlds and star-spanning civilizations. The eternal forge is hidden in the core of the galaxy, Jeho explained. It's a massive construction built by the architects. It was meant to be a tool of creation, capable of building new worlds and new life. The holographic images showed the forge in all its glory, a structure larger than a planet, made of materials that seemed to bend space itself. But it can also be used as a weapon, Jeho continued. When the void hunger first appeared, the architects tried to use the forge to destroy it, but they failed. The void hunger was too powerful, and it consumed them. So how do we succeed? Where they failed? Commander Park asked. Because I'm different, Jeho said. I'm part human, part architect. Humans have something the architects didn't have. What's that? Asked Dr. Kim, the ability to choose creation over destruction. 2. Heal instead of fight. Vorthek showed me that the void hunger isn't evil. It's broken. It was originally designed to help the architects, but something went wrong. Engineer So Young looked puzzled. You're saying this thing that's destroying entire star systems is actually trying to help? In a way, yes. The void hunger thinks. It's cleaning up the galaxy, making it more efficient. But it's forgotten that life is supposed to be messy and unpredictable. That's what makes it beautiful. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the station. The crew rushed to the bridge to see what was happening. Commander, called the navigation officer, we're receiving a transmission from Captain Xian Ho of the patrol vessel Star Runner. They're requesting permission to board. Granted, Commander Park replied. But keep our weapons ready just in case. An hour later, Captain Xian Ho arrived on the station with a small team of officers. He was a stern man with gray hair and suspicious eyes. Commander Park, he said, I've been ordered to investigate reports of unusual activity in this sector. My sensors detected massive energy discharges. We encountered an unknown life form, Commander Park replied carefully. It was dying when we found it. Where is this life form now? Captain Xian Ho asked. It's dead, Dr. Yunji said. It dissolved into space dust. Captain Xian Ho looked around the bridge. And this boy? My reports say he's been silent for 2 years, but now he's speaking. All eyes turned to Jeho. The boy stood quietly, his pendant dim under his shirt. Sometimes trauma can be healed by unexpected events, Dr. Kim said protectively. But Captain Xian Ho wasn't satisfied. I need to speak with the boy privately. I don't think that's necessary, Commander Park said. It wasn't a request, Commander. The tension in the room was growing. Jeho stepped forward. It's okay, Commander, I'll talk to him. Captain Xian Ho led Jeho to a private conference room. As soon as the door closed, the captain's expression changed. I know what you are, boy, he said quietly. My family has been guarding secrets for generations. We've been waiting for someone like you to appear. Jeho was surprised. You know about the architects? Some of us never forgot. We've been watching for signs of the void hunger's return. Captain Xian Ho pulled out a small device. This has been detecting energy signatures that match the old warnings. The readings have been getting stronger every day. Then you know we need to find the resonance keys, Jeho said. I know it's dangerous. The galaxy isn't ready for this kind of knowledge. But I also know that you're our only hope. Captain Xian Ho returned the device to his pocket. My ship and crew are at your disposal. But you need to understand something. There are others out there who don't want the old powers to return. They'll try to stop you. Who? Jeho asked. People who profit from the way things are now, who don't want the galaxy to change. They have ships, weapons, and influence. They'll see you as a threat. Jeho felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. What should I do? Be careful. Who you trust. And remember, the Eternal Forge is powerful, but it's also dangerous. Make sure you're ready for the choice you'll have to make when the time comes. They returned to the bridge, where Captain Xian Ho announced that his ship would escort Harmony's Edge on their mission. He didn't explain why, but Commander Park accepted the help dot as the 2 ships prepared to leave for the Crystal Nebula to find the first resonance key. Jeho stood once again at the observation window. His pendant pulsed gently, and he could feel Vorthak's presence in his mind. We're going to save the galaxy, he whispered to the dragon spirit. I promise. The stars stretched out before them, full of danger and hope. The real journey was just beginning. The journey to the Crystal Nebula took 3 days. During this time, Jeho spent hours in the station's computer core, learning to use his new abilities. His pendant glowed softly as he placed his hands on the control panels, and the ship's systems responded in ways that amazed the crew. "This is incredible," Engineer So Young said, watching as Jae-ho made the ship's engines run more efficiently just by touching them. "He's not just interfacing with the technology, he's improving it." Dr. Yoonji was running medical scans on the boy. "His brain patterns are changing. New neural pathways are forming every day. It's like he's evolving into something beyond human." "Is it dangerous?" asked Dr. Hana Kim, worried about the boy she cared for. "I don't think so," Dr. Yoonji replied. "But he's becoming something we don't understand. The architect DNA in his cells is activating, changing him." Chief Medical Officer Yoonji joined them in the medical bay. "I've been studying the data from his blood tests. The changes are accelerating. In a few weeks, he might not be recognizable as human anymore." Jae-ho overheard their conversation from the doorway. "I'm still me," he said quietly. "I'm just becoming what I was always meant to be." The adults turned to look at him. His eyes were now permanently glowing with a soft blue light, and his voice carried those strange harmonics that made nearby equipment hum. "Does it hurt?" Dr. Kim asked. "No," Jae-ho replied. "It feels like waking up from a long sleep, like I'm finally becoming complete." Commander Taemin Park entered the medical bay. "Hey, Ho, we're approaching the Crystal Nebula. Captain Sean-ho wants to brief you on the Shard Singers." They gathered in the main briefing room. Captain Seon-ho activated a holographic display showing the nebula and its inhabitants. "The Shard Singers are ancient beings made of living crystal," he explained. "They communicate through musical vibrations that can shatter normal materials. Their entire civilization is built around harmony and balance." "How do we talk to them?" asked Security Chief Hyuk. "Very carefully," Captain Seon-ho replied. "They don't trust outsiders, and they test everyone who approaches them. The test is different for each person." Jae-ho studied the holographic images. Vorthic's memories show that they were given a resonance key to protect. "They called it the Song of Stars?" "The Song of Stars?" Dr. Yoonji asked. "It's the key that controls harmony and balance in the Eternal Forge. Without it, the other keys won't work properly." As they approached the nebula, the ship's sensors detected massive crystal formations floating in space. Each crystal was the size of a small moon, and they all vibrated with musical tones that could be heard through the ship's hull. "Incoming transmission," announced the communications officer. "But it's not like any language I've ever heard." The bridge filled with beautiful, complex musical notes. The sound was hypnotic and alien, but somehow peaceful. Jae-ho stepped forward. "I understand them. They're asking why we've come to their sacred space." "Can you answer them?" Commander Park asked. The boy nodded. He opened his mouth and sang. The sound that came out was unlike anything human, a perfect harmony that made the ship's hull vibrate in response. The crew watched in amazement as Jae-ho's voice seemed to join with the alien music. The response from the Shard Singers was immediate. Several of the crystal formations began moving toward their ships, their musical tones growing stronger. "They want me to come alone," Jae-ho translated. "They say they need to test me to see if I'm worthy of the Song of Stars." "Absolutely not," Dr. Kim said firmly. "You're just a child." "I won't let you go alone. I have to," Jae-ho replied. "This is what I was born to do." Commander Park made the difficult decision. "We'll transport you to the largest crystal formation, but we'll keep you monitored at all times. If anything goes wrong, we'll pull you back immediately." An hour later, Jae-ho stood in a vast crystal cavern inside one of the Shard Singer formations. The walls around him pulsed with inner light, and the air itself seemed to sing with musical notes. 3 tall beings approached him. They were made entirely of translucent crystal, their bodies shifting between different colors as they moved. When they spoke, their voices created harmonies that made the entire cavern ring like a bell. "Young bridge builder," the center being sang, "you carry the scent of ancient times. But are you worthy of the Song of Stars?" "I don't know," Jae-ho answered honestly, "but I'm willing to try." The Shard Singers began to circle him. Their music grew more complex, testing his ability to follow their harmonies. Jeho found that he could instinctively match their tones, his voice blending with theirs in ways that should have been impossible. Impressive, sang the second being. But harmony is not just about sound. It's about understanding the balance of all things. The crystal chamber began to change around Jeho. He found himself standing in a recreation of different worlds, some peaceful, some at war, some dying. In each scenario, he had to find the right balance, the correct harmony that would bring peace. In one vision, he saw two alien races fighting over resources. Instead of taking sides, he found a way for them to share that benefited both. In another, he helped a dying planet by showing its people how to work with their environment instead of against it. You understand, sang the third being. Creation is not about imposing your will. It's about finding the natural balance that already exists. The visions faded, and Jeho found himself back in the crystal chamber. The three shard singers were now glowing brightly, their music filled with approval. You have passed the test of harmony, they sang together. But we must warn you, the Song of Stars is powerful. It can create or destroy entire worlds. Use it wisely. The center being reached into its crystal body and pulled out a small object. It looked like a tuning fork made of pure light, humming with musical energy. This is the Song of Stars, the being sang. It will harmonize with your pendant and show you the path to the other keys. Jeho took the second resonance key. The moment it touched his skin, his pendant blazed with light. The two keys began to resonate together, creating a harmony that filled the entire chamber. Thank you, Jeho said. I won't let you down. We know you won't, the shard singers replied. But remember, the path ahead will test more than your ability to create harmony. It will test your heart. When Jeho returned to Harmony's edge, the crew could see that he had changed even more. His eyes now held flecks of starlight, and his voice carried the musical qualities of the shard singers. 2 keys down, 5 to go, he said, showing them the Song of Stars. But Captain Sian-Ho was right. We're not the only ones looking for these. What do you mean? Asked Commander Park. The shard singers told me that other ships have been asking about the keys. Ships with dark intentions. Someone else knows about the Eternal Forge. As if summoned by his words, alarms began ringing throughout the station. Commander, called the navigation officer, we're detecting 3 ships approaching fast. They're not responding to our hails. Battle stations, Commander Park ordered. Jeho, get to the protected section of the ship. No, the boy replied. I need to see who these people are. If they're after the keys, I need to understand why. The attacking ships were sleek and black, with weapons that seemed to bend light around them. They opened fire without warning, their energy beams tearing through space toward Harmony's edge. Shields up, shouted Security Chief Yuck. Return fire. The battle was brief but intense. The enemy ships were fast and well armed, but Captain Seonho's Star Runner was a military vessel with superior weapons. Working together, the 2 ships managed to disable one of the attackers. Commander? Captain Seonho's voice came over the communications. I'm boarding the disabled ship. I need to know who these people are. An hour later, he returned with disturbing news. They're called the Order of the Void. They worship the Void Hunger as a god of purification. They believe the galaxy needs to be cleansed of all life. They want to help the Void Hunger? Dr. Kim asked in horror. Worse, Captain Sian-Ho replied. They want to control it. They think if they can gather all 7 resonance keys, they can direct the Void Hunger to destroy only the worlds they choose. Jeho felt sick. They don't understand. The Void Hunger can't be controlled. It will consume everything, including them, maybe, Captain Sian-Ho said, but they're fanatics. They don't care about logic. The boy looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of his responsibility growing heavier. How many of them are there? Enough to be dangerous. They have ships, weapons, and followers throughout the galaxy. And now they know about you? Jeho touched both resonance keys, feeling their power humming against his chest. Then we need to move faster. We need to get the other keys before. They do. Where to next? Asked Commander Park. Aquatica, Jeho replied. The water world where the depth keepers guard the third key. But we need to be careful. The Order of the Void will be watching for us. As the two ships set course for their next destination, Jeho practiced using his growing abilities. He could now interface with multiple ship systems at once, and his connection to the architect technology was becoming stronger every day. But with each new power came new responsibility. He was becoming something more than human, and the galaxy was depending on him to make the right choices. The real test was still ahead. The water world of Aquatica was beautiful but dangerous. Endless oceans covered the entire planet, with floating cities that bobbed on the waves like giant flowers. The depth keepers lived far below the surface, in underwater cities that no outsider had ever seen. J-Ho stood on the observation deck of Harmony's Edge, watching the blue planet grow larger as they approached. His two resonance keys hummed softly against his chest, and he could feel the third key somewhere deep in the planet's oceans. The depth keepers have never allowed outsiders into their realm, Dr. Yunji said, reading from her research files. They believe that the surface world is too chaotic for their peaceful way of life. How do we even contact them? Asked Engineer. So young, we don't, Jeho replied. I have to go down to them, alone. Dr. Hannah Kim shook her head. You can't breathe underwater, Jeho. It's impossible. Not for me, the boy said. My architect heritage is changing me. I can adapt to any environment now. Commander Taman Park looked worried. Are you sure about this? We've already lost contact with 3-star systems while we've been traveling. The void hunger is getting closer. I know, Jeho said, but this is the only way. The depth keepers will only trust someone who can prove they belong in their world. Captain, Xianho joined them on the observation deck. My sensors are detecting Order of the Void ships in this system. They're staying hidden, but they're out there. How many? Asked Security Chief Yuck. At least 5 ships, maybe more. They're waiting for us to make our move. Ho touched the water recycling system on the wall. His pendant glowed, and suddenly he could feel every drop of water on the entire station. I can sense them too. They're afraid to come too close to the planet. The depth keepers have defenses that can destroy ships that get too near. What kind of defenses? Commander Park asked. Gravity waves that can crush metal. Sound waves that can shatter hulls. The depth keepers are peaceful, but they're not helpless. 2 hours later, Jeho stood on the transport platform, ready to descend to the planet's surface. He was wearing a special suit that Dr. Yunji had designed, but he wasn't sure he would need it. Are you ready? Dr. Kim asked, her voice full of worry. As ready as I can be, Jeho replied. If I don't come back in 6 hours, leave without me. The other keys are more important than my life. Don't say that, Dr. Kim said firmly. You're coming back, that's an order. Jeho smiled at her. Yes, ma'am. The transport carried him down through Aquatica's atmosphere and into the endless ocean. As they descended, Jeho could feel the pressure increasing, but his body adapted automatically. His lungs changed, his blood chemistry shifted, and gills appeared on his neck. By the stars, Dr. Yunji said, watching his transformation on the medical scanners. He's becoming amphibious. At a depth of 3 kilometers, Jeho left the transport and entered the water. The ocean was dark and cold, but he could see clearly. His body moved through the water like he had been born to it. Deep below, lights began to appear. The Depth Keeper city was massive, built into underwater mountains and valleys. The architecture was flowing and organic, like the city had grown rather than being built. As Jeho approached, he was surrounded by the Depth Keepers themselves. They were tall and graceful, with skin that changed color like the ocean itself. Their eyes were large and kind, and they moved through the water with perfect ease. Surface dweller, one of them said, speaking directly into Jeho's mind. You do not belong in our realm. I am Jeho, he replied, his thoughts carrying across the water. I carry the blood of the architects. I come seeking the key that was entrusted to your people. The Depth Keepers circled him, their thoughts mixing together like currents in the ocean. We know of the key. The tear of the deep it is called, but it is not given lightly. What must I do? Jeho asked. You must prove that you understand the true nature of depth, the lead depth keeper replied. Not just the depth of water, but the depth of wisdom, of patience, of understanding. They led him deeper into their city, past gardens of sea plants that glowed with bioluminescent light. In the center of the city was a great chasm that seemed to go down forever. This is the heart of the deep, the depth keeper explained. At its bottom lies the tear of the deep, but the journey down is not just physical, it is spiritual. You must face the darkness within yourself. Jeho looked into the chasm. Even with his enhanced vision, he could not see the bottom. What kind of darkness? The darkness that all beings carry? Your fears, your doubts, your capacity for destruction. The deeper you go, the more you will confront what you truly are. Without hesitation, Jeho dove into the chasm. The water grew colder and darker as he descended. Strange creatures swam past him, beings of pure thought and emotion that had no physical form. As he went deeper, he began to see visions of his past. He saw the destruction of his home colony, the death of his parents, the loneliness of his early years on the station. But he also saw the fear in his heart, the fear that he might fail, that he might become like the void hunger and destroy everything he was trying to save. You could rule them all, a voice whispered in the darkness. With the power of the eternal forge, you could reshape the galaxy as you see fit. No, Jeho said firmly, that's not what I want. But you will have the power, the voice continued. Who's to say you won't use it? Jeho thought about this as he continued to descend. It was true, he would have incredible power when all 7 keys were united. The temptation to use that power for his own purposes would be enormous. I'm not perfect, he said to the darkness. I might make mistakes. But I have people who care about me, who will guide me. I don't have to carry this burden alone. The visions faded, and Jeho found himself at the bottom of the chasm. There, floating in a sphere of pure light, was the 3rd resonance key. It looked like a tear made of crystallized water, beautiful and sad at the same time. You have passed the test of depth, the depth keeper's voice echoed around him. You understand that true strength comes not from power, but from knowing your limitations. Jeho took the tear of the deep. The moment he touched it, he felt a wave of calm wash over him. The key seemed to cleanse his doubts and fears, leaving him feeling more centered than he had in days. When he returned to the surface, he found that the Order of the Void had attacked. 3 of their ships were engaging Harmony's Edge and Star, Runner in battle while the other ships tried to reach the planet. Jeho! Dr. Kim's voice came over his communicator. Thank goodness you're safe. We're under attack. I can see that, Jeho replied. Get me back to the ship. I have an idea. As his transport raced back toward Harmony's Edge, Jeho reached out with his mind to the ship's systems. All 3 resonance keys were now working together, amplifying his abilities. So, Young, he said over the communications, I need you to route all power to the deflector array. I'm going to try something. What are you planning? Commander Park asked. Trust me, Jeho replied. When he reached the ship, he ran straight to the main deflector control room. Placing his hands on the control panels, he felt the power of the 3 keys flowing through him. The deflector array began to glow with the same blue light as his pendant. Jeho, what are you doing? Engineer So Young asked, watching her instruments go crazy. I'm turning our deflector into a weapon, he replied. Not to destroy, but to disable. A beam of pure harmony shot out from Harmony's Edge, washing over the attacking ships. The beam didn't damage them, but it somehow made their weapons stop working. The hostile ships found themselves unable to fire, their systems locked in a state of peaceful equilibrium. Impossible, Captain Sanho said over the communications. How did you do that? The resonance keys don't just give power, Jeho explained. They give understanding? I showed those ships what peace feels like. Their weapons can't function in that state. The order of the void ships retreated, their crews confused and unable to fight, but Jeho knew this was only a temporary solution. "They'll be back," he said. "And next time they'll be prepared for what I can do." "Then we need to move faster," Commander Park said. "Where's the next key?" Jeho checked the star charts. "The Talon Federation territory? But that's going to be our biggest challenge yet. They're a warrior culture, and they think the architects were their enemies. How do we convince them otherwise?" asked Dr. Kim. "We don't," Jeho replied. "We prove it through our actions. The Talon Federation respects strength, but they respect honor more. We'll have to show them that humans can be trusted with power." As the ship set course for Talon space, Jeho spent time learning to use his 3 keys together. Each one taught him something different: creation, harmony, and wisdom. But he could feel that the real test was still ahead. The Order of the Void was growing stronger, and reports from across the galaxy showed that the void hunger was consuming systems faster than ever. They were running out of time. "4 keys left?" Jeho said, watching the stars stream past. "And each one will be harder to get than the last." But he was no longer the silent boy who had arrived at Harmony's Edge 2 years ago. He was becoming something new, something that could bridge the gap between human and architect. Between creation and destruction, the galaxy was depending on him to make the right choice when the time came. He just hoped he would be strong enough to do it. The journey to collect the final 4 resonance keys had taken them across the galaxy and changed them all. Jeho was no longer recognizable as the silent boy who had first arrived at Harmony's Edge. His eyes now held the depth of stars. His voice carried the harmony of creation itself, and his body had adapted to survive in any environment. The 4th key came from the Talon Federation after a brutal test of combat, where Jeho had to prove that strength could be used to protect, rather than destroy. The 5th key was recovered from the desert ruins of Zerion, where ancient puzzles tested his wisdom. The 6th key came from the ice caves of Frost Moon, where the luminous ones challenged his understanding of sacrifice. Now they faced their final destination, the dying star where the 7th key waited, protected by mechanical guardians that had been waiting for millions of years. "The stellar core is collapsing," Dr. Yunji reported as they approached the massive red giant. "We have maybe 6 hours before it goes supernova." "The key is definitely in there," Jeho said, his 6 resonance keys glowing brightly around his neck. "I can feel it calling to me." Commander Taman Park studied the readings. "The radiation levels are off the charts. Even with our best protection, we can't survive in that environment." "I can," Jeho said quietly. "My body has adapted to survive in space, underwater, in extreme heat and cold. I can handle the stellar radiation." "Absolutely not," Dr. Hanakem said firmly. "I won't let you fly into a dying star. It's the only way," Jeho replied. "The mechanical guardians will only respond to someone who carries architect DNA, and time is running out." Captain Xianho's voice came over the communications from Star Runner. "Jeho, we're detecting a massive fleet approaching. The Order of the Void has gathered every ship they have. They're going to try to stop us from getting the final key." Through the observation windows, they could see hundreds of dark ships emerging from hyperspace. The Order of the Void had brought everything they had to this final confrontation. "There are too many of them," Security Chief Hyuk said. "We can't fight them all." "We don't have to fight them," Jeho said. "We just have to hold them off long. Enough for me to get the key." Engineer So Young was working frantically at her station. "I can modify a shuttle to protect you from the stellar radiation, but it's going to be dangerous. One mistake and you'll be vaporized." "Then I won't make any mistakes," Jeho said. The battle began as soon as the Order of the Void ships came within range. Harmony's Edge and Star Runner fought desperately against overwhelming odds while Jeho prepared for his final mission. "Remember," Dr. Kim said as she helped him into the modified shuttle, "you're not just carrying the hopes of our crew. You're carrying the hopes of every living being in the galaxy." "I know," Jeho replied, "but I'm also carrying something else, the knowledge that creation is always stronger than destruction." The shuttle launched just as enemy fire began hitting Harmony's edge. Jeho flew straight toward the dying star, his 6 resonance keys protecting him from the worst of the radiation. As he entered the star's outer layers, he saw them, the mechanical guardians that had been waiting since the fall of the architects. They were massive constructs of metal and energy, their forms shifting like liquid fire. Who disturbs the final rest? Their voices boomed through space, speaking in the ancient language of the architects. I am Jeho, child of 2 worlds bearer. Of the resonance keys, he replied in the same language. I come to claim the heart of stars. You carry the old blood, the guardians acknowledged. But do you carry the wisdom to use what you seek? I carry the wisdom to choose creation over destruction, Jeho said. Even when destruction seems easier. The guardians parted, allowing him to pass into the star's core. There, floating in a sphere of pure stellar energy, was the 7th and final resonance key. It looked like a miniature star, burning with the light of creation itself. The moment Jeho touched the heart of stars, all 7 keys began to resonate together. The power was incredible. He could feel the locations of every planet, every star, every living being in the galaxy. And he could also feel the void hunger, a massive darkness consuming everything in its path as it moved toward the galactic core. The keys are complete, he whispered. Now I need to get to the Eternal Forge. But as he tried to leave the star, alarms began ringing in his shuttle. The Order of the Void had sent ships after him, and they were firing weapons designed to disrupt architect technology. Jeho, Dr. Kim's voice came over the communications. We're losing the battle. There are too many of them. Hold on, Jeho replied. I'm coming back. But instead of flying back to the ships, he did something unexpected. Using all 7 resonance keys, he reached out to the dying star itself. The stellar core responded to his touch, and suddenly the star's collapse stopped. What did you do? Commander Park asked in amazement. I stabilized it, Jeho replied. The Heart of Stars key can control stellar energy. I've given us more time. The Order of the Void ships were so shocked by this display of power that they stopped firing. In that moment of confusion, Jeho flew back to Harmony's edge. We need to get to the galactic core, he announced as soon as he was aboard. The Eternal Forge is waiting, and the Void Hunger will be there soon. What about them? Captain Xianho asked, indicating the enemy fleet. Jeho looked at the Order of the Void ships through the observation window. They're afraid, he said. They think I'm going to use the forge to destroy them. But that's not what I'm going to do. What are you going to do? Asked Dr. Yuanji. I'm going to heal the Void Hunger, Jeho said. Vorthek showed me the truth. The Void Hunger isn't evil, it's broken. It was originally created to help the architects maintain balance in the galaxy. But something went wrong and it became corrupted. You want to fix it? Engineer So Young asked in disbelief. Yes, instead of destroying it, I'm going to restore its original programming. Turn it back into what it was meant to be, a force for harmony and balance. The journey to the galactic core took 2 days. Behind them, the Order of the Void Fleet followed at a distance, uncertain what to do. Some of their ships had even stopped attacking entirely, their crews beginning to doubt their mission. When they reached the core, they found the Eternal Forge waiting, a massive structure that dwarfed entire solar systems. It was beautiful and terrible, built from materials that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. It's magnificent, whispered Dr. Kim, but their wonder was short-lived. The Void Hunger had arrived. It appeared as a massive darkness that consumed light itself. Entire star systems vanished as it approached, leaving nothing but empty space behind. The entity was larger than anything they had imagined, a corruption of cosmic proportions. All ships, fall back, Commander Park ordered. Get to minimum safe distance, but Jeho didn't retreat. He flew his shuttle directly toward the Eternal Forge, all 7 resonance keys blazing with power. As he docked with the ancient structure, it began to awaken after millions of years of dormancy. The Forge's systems recognized him immediately. He was what they had been waiting for, a bridge between human compassion and architect technology. The keys slotted into 7 specific receptacles, and the massive weapon came online. "Jeho," Vorthok's voice spoke in his mind, carried by the pendant that had started it all. "The choice is yours now. You have the power to destroy the void hunger completely." "But that's not the right choice, is it?" Jeho replied. "No, child. Destruction is never the right choice when healing is possible." Jeho felt the incredible power of the eternal forge flowing through him. He could unmake the void hunger with a thought, erase it from existence entirely. It would be so easy, but instead, he chose the harder path, reaching out with the combined power of all 7 resonance keys. He touched the mind of the void hunger. What he found there wasn't evil, it was pain. Millions of years of corruption and loneliness had driven the entity insane. "I know what you were," Jeho said to the darkness. "I know what you were meant to be. Let me help you remember." The void hunger recoiled from his touch at first, its corrupted programming rejecting any attempt at healing. But Jeho persisted, using the power of creation to slowly, carefully restore the entity's original purpose. "You were the harmony engine," he whispered. "You were meant to help life flourish, not destroy it. You were meant to bring balance to the galaxy." Slowly, incredibly, the void hunger began to change. The consuming darkness transformed into warm, golden light. The entity that had devoured countless worlds began to heal the damage it had caused. Systems that had been consumed were restored. Planets came back to life. Entire civilizations that had been erased were brought back into existence. "Impossible," breathed Captain Xianho. "He's actually doing it." The transformation took hours, with Jeho pouring all his strength into the healing process. When it was finally complete, the void hunger was gone. In its place was the harmony engine, restored to its original purpose as a guardian and nurturer of life. "Thank you," the engine spoke, its voice now filled with gratitude instead of hunger. "You have given me back my true self." Jeho collapsed. In the eternal forge, exhausted but victorious, the 7 resonance keys had merged with the structure itself, ensuring that this kind of corruption could never happen again. As he was brought back to Harmony's edge, he saw something wonderful. The Order of the Void ships were no longer attacking. Many of their crews had witnessed the healing of the void hunger and realized that creation was indeed stronger than destruction. "What happens now?" Dr. Kim asked as she tended to Jeho in the medical bay. "Now we rebuild," Jeho replied weakly. "The harmony engine will help restore what was lost, and He paused, feeling the changes in his body stabilizing. "I think I'll stay human enough to keep learning from all of you." "You saved the galaxy," Commander Park said with pride. "Not through conquest or destruction, but through compassion and healing. That's what humans do best," Jeho replied with a smile. "We build bridges. We bring different people together. We choose hope over fear." Dr. Yunji checked her instruments. "The harmony engine is already beginning its work. Dead systems are coming back to life throughout the galaxy." As Harmony's edge began its journey home, Jeho stood once more at the observation window, but this time he wasn't silent. He spoke freely with his friends and family, sharing his thoughts and dreams for the future. The boy who had never spoken had found his voice by learning that the greatest power wasn't in words or weapons, but in choosing to heal rather than harm. He had proven that humanity's greatest strength lay not in their technology or their armies, but in their capacity for compassion. And across the galaxy the song of creation began anew.